I'm Legible Scribbles, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the book Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. First, we're going to have a non-spoilery review. So, when I'm done with this non-spoilery review, I'll tell you, and that way if you haven't read the book or watched the series, then you can stop and not be spoiled if you don't want to. So, this book overall, I really enjoyed it. I actually watched the Amazon Prime series. I actually watched it on Amazon Prime before I read it. But reading through it after having watched the series, I really, really enjoyed the book. It's very fun, it's very whimsical, it has a very light-hearted tone about some very serious topics. If you don't know, Good Omens is about Armageddon, or the end of the world, and an angel and demon trying to stop it. And that is a lot of heavy stuff to be covered in a book. And Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett do this thing where they don't take it seriously, and that could have made for a slapstick comedy that was all different levels of stupid, or things that just aren't enjoyable. They took a whimsical tone to this serious thing, so they have these little tidbits of information that sometimes make things funnier, or they explain something that you might not know. Actually, a couple of times they address Americans, because this is written from a British point of view, and so they use British lingo, and so they address Americans in the little footnotes and are like, "Dear Americans, this means such and such," and honestly, it's really funny. Some people might take it as demeaning, but I think it's really funny. And there's one time where a character draws himself up to his full height, and they have a little footnote, and when you go down and read the footnote, it's just his height. And honestly, that's my kind of humor. I honestly think it's so funny. So overall, I would say I rate Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 houseplants. I rate it 7 out of 10 houseplants. So now is when I'm going to go into some more in-depth analysis of the book. So if you would not like to be spoiled, then I would suggest stop watching now, go read the book, watch the series on Amazon Prime, and come back. So I watched the show before I read the book, and honestly, big personal no-no, but I saw the premise in the little description on Amazon Prime, and it just intrigued me so much, and I wasn't actually in the country at that time, and so I just wanted to consume something. So I watched it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was in Books A Million one day, and I saw the book, and I was like, oh, I watched it, and I loved it, I have to read it. I always think you should read something before you watch it, because when an author writes a story, their true intention is those words on paper, and that's the story that they want to put out. And nothing against adaptations, whether it be a movie adaptation or a TV adaptation, but often a lot of things get lost. You can see that especially with the Harry Potter series. There are a lot of things that get lost just because they don't have time to make a book that's this thick into a movie. It would just take too much time. But I personally think that it's best to read first and get the original story, the author's intention for the story, and then to watch the TV show or the movie series or the movie. So the show was actually written by Neil Gaiman, who is one of the authors of the book, and because of that, the show does stay very, very true to the book. While reading the book, I actually was going through and I was like, it feels like I'm watching the show, because honestly, a lot of the dialogue is pulled straight from the book. The sequence of events is the exact same. All of the characters are there, and so that was something that was really, really nice, was to see that the the original text didn't get lost in the translation from book to TV show. So something else that I noticed was that there seems to be more in the TV show. For example, when I got towards the end of the book, I was expecting Satan to appear, because he does in the TV show. He never does. It's something I don't really mind. What I suspect happened is that Neil Gaiman, in reviewing this story that he's written, has found things that can be added to improve the story, which is not something that usually happens. Most of the time adaptations are not made by the author of the book, and so things get lost in the translation. But I think that this was a very positive thing, that Neil Gaiman was part of the process and that he did write the entire show. So he could look at this story that he created and say, here's somewhere where we need something more, here's somewhere where we need something better. And one of those examples is towards the very end, when the world is about to end, Crowley and Aziraphale take Adam into this like little bubble world, and they talk to him about how he has control over the situation, and then they go back to the real world. That is something that I really appreciated seeing in the TV show, and was kind of disappointed wasn't in the book. So it seems like since Neil Gaiman got to write the show, he had access to the story and could say, this is what Terry Pratchett and I did, and here's where it can be improved, and we can add this, and we can add this. And because of that, I think the show was really improved. The book itself, Good Omens, I love it. It's a great read. I would totally suggest it to people who enjoy commentary on religious matters, people who enjoy whimsical stories, people who enjoy comedies, and but if you are someone who is deeply religious and you don't like commentaries on your religion, you might not enjoy Good Omens. But I would say in general, this is a good read. Definitely should give it a try. I love it. This honestly will go into my favorite books. I loved it. This one took significantly longer to film. That means it's gonna take significantly longer to edit. Oh, by the way, do you guys like how I totally didn't post my first video before I went to college, even though I totally talked about how I wanted to do that? I'm not even gonna like say when this one's gonna go up, because I don't want to set myself up for failure. So there's that. Remember, kids, read responsibly.